Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of One Meal a Day Modified. And today is a summer meal type of day. Something sort of light but also indulgent. So we'll go over the meal in a moment, but today's topic is, I think, a pretty good one. I'm going to talk about a couple things, so you'll have to bear with me because some people are going to agree with some of these and some people are not going to agree with some of these points that I have to make, and that is okay. The world is full of opinion, and what you need to do is what works for you. Also, as I always say, contact and work with a true medical professional, aka a doctor, an APRN, a certified medical dietitian, which hopefully was referred to you by your actual doctor. So, like I said, these are things that work for me. These are my opinions, and here we go. These are what I consider to be 10 simple tips to an intermittent fasting, one meal a day, in my case with modifications, lifestyle. So yes, a bonus tip I'm going to give you right off the bat is don't call this a diet. It is not a diet. It is supposed to be a lifestyle change. Once you put the big D in it, take your minds out of the gutter. Then what happens is people think of term limits. They're like, oh, I'm going to do this diet until this happens or for this amount of time. And then what happens is you go back to the way things were, or they may even get worse. Whereas you gain more weight than you ever lost or than what you began with in the first place. So that's my number one bonus tip is this is a lifestyle change. And it's possible that you may need to change what you're doing with your intermittent one meal a day plan. And if you do, that's why I consider mine to be one meal a day modified, because I will modify my plan if required. I am not going to tether myself to a sinking ship. If, things need to change, that's what life is partially about. You change them. So my number one tip, so that was my bonus, but my number one tip is this. See a medical professional. I know. Okay, right? It's like she's beating this like an old scratched up record or something. She always says that. Yes, I do. Because if I hadn't decided to, when I had my annual exam with my internal medicine doctor, if I hadn't decided to tell him that, this is what I'm going to try to do, this is what I'm thinking about. I know there's a ton of alternatives out there that people are doing. And I see that, those folks are not as healthy regardless of, whether they are taking some sort of medication, starving themselves to death, going to different clinics, which are not real medical clinics, or Weight Watchers, which is like a clinic. Or getting different medical procedures and, whatever it is that they're doing, it doesn't work. Whether it's not necessarily that people are gaining weight from some of these, but at the end, some of them are less healthy. Also, yes, as we know, fad diets do not work. So some of them actually do end up gaining weight at the end of it. So what I say is work with your actual medical doctor that you've had probably for years, decades, whatever, and come up with something that works for you. They will be able to do things like, give you certain tests to make sure that your nutrition levels are correct. Or if they find that there's a change in your nutritional levels, or, you know, even your sugar, your glucose levels, or, you know, the function of your liver, kidneys, or whatever it is they're checking, your heart, etc. They're able to have you take a few simple tests, and they're able to, you know, analyze the results with you to make sure that what you're doing is not doing more harm, and that what you're doing is hopefully doing good. Or if an adjustment is needed, such as adding a supplement, that can be done. Also, they're able to give you referrals if you need them. So if you need a referral, let's say you want to literally work with a dietitian, they can give you a referral for that. Or let's say you're having some sort of issues, obviously they can give you referrals for those. Or even if you're just being proactive, it's possible you can get referrals. So I would definitely, like I said, work with them. Also, just regular advice or someone to talk to, not like you would talk to a psychiatrist or some sort of counselor or something, but you know, they've heard a lot, they've seen a lot, and they may have like a simple solution, you know, to whatever your questions are. I would just say go into those appointments prepared. Bring whatever medications you're taking with you, like literally bring the bottles, even if it's supplements or over-the-counter stuff. Also, if you have questions, bring a list of questions with you. So the other thing is vary your food selections. That's my second tip. Don't believe that you have to eat the same exact food or almost the same food every day. That's ridiculous, but there are people who do that. There are millions of different things out there that you can vary your diet with. You know, if you have a staple that you just love and you want to have that, you know, as part of your meal every day, fine, of course, have it, but make sure you're not going to become bored with what you're doing. So make sure you vary your food choices. Also, my third tip is try small portions of different types of food that you've never eaten before. So, of course, like this is my meal for the day. Let's say that I wanted to try daikon radish, which I actually like daikon radish. So just for example, or okra. I don't like okra. So let's say I wanted to try okra again, just to see if I could stand it. What I would do is have a very tiny portion of it along with my meal, just to see if it's something I like. That will give me a test as far as, you know, a variation that I might actually find out I like again. And I can add that to my overall meals at some point. The next thing is be creative with your foods. There's a million trillion recipes out there. You know, if you like peaches, for example, I have peach cobbler here today. I made this, it's a lower sugar content because usually they put sugar in the peaches and sugar in the dough. I did not put any sugar in the peaches. So this is half of the sugar content. So it's something I decided to try, be creative, and no one knows the difference. So that is pretty wild. Also, when you don't make something often, then I think it's easier to make little creative changes, healthy changes. But you can also be creative, outrageous. You know, maybe you add some blueberries to this. You know, maybe you put a combination of peaches and some really nice ripe apples. Like, you can be creative with your foods. Just because you're on a 1 meal a day modified or a 1 meal a day intermittent fasting plan doesn't mean that you suddenly have to eat, you know, just plain foods. My fifth item is make sure you exercise. So for me, what I think is if exercise is fun, if it's easy, if it's something that doesn't take a lot of effort, I don't like getting overly dirty. then sometimes I don't mind, depends on what we're doing, but I don't want to get like dirty every day, like super dirty every day. So I do a lot of hiking, walking. I do some calisthenics. That's my other thing, is I like to do a variety of things. Gardening. We go exploring different areas and places that require quite a bit of climbing, jumping, jumping down off of things. So be safe when you do these things, but you don't have to just go to a smelly, stinky, musty, germ-filled, moldy gym unless it's something that you like doing. The other thing that I considered, and my husband and I both considered, and we might start doing when he retires, is having a personal trainer. We have a pretty large house. We have lots of empty rooms, and one of them would be perfect for us to have like our little setup. The only thing is we want to do more of a calisthenic type training. The other thing is I'm looking at boxing. So that will require me to go to a stinky, yucky gym. But, if I like it, I'm going to try it initially, then it's something that I'll probably add to my repertoire. And that's the other thing is, like I said, vary what you do. If you do the same exact thing all the time, even if you do that for 3-4 years, eventually you're going to fall off the wagon. My next tip is get your family involved. I got my family involved. It's very easy since there's only 3 of us, by adjusting our diet and making like small changes, also dragging them out for a walk or a hike or whatever. And also, we talk about nutrition quite a lot as far as, calories or sugar content or, eating foods that are more whole and natural, which I noticed the 3 of us, we definitely all do that now, which is really great. And the next tip I have is drink water. Make sure you're hydrated. You're not going to probably become dehydrated, but water sometimes is what you want more than food. I've heard that a lot everywhere, even like watching some videos online. Of course, doctors say that. My internal medicine doctor said that. But it's true. Like if you're try drinking first, or someone had a tip of drink some water before you eat your food. The thing is, on a 1 meal a day diet, you sort of need to eat your food. So I say that you should probably eat your food first and drink secondly, because you can drink all day long. But if you're intermittent fasting, you may not be able to eat, of course, like all day long. Some people have a short window, some people have a longer window to consume their meals. If you are supposed to take supplements because you're going to your doctor and getting that awesome advice, just make sure you take your supplements, but buy quality supplements. You're eating less. That means you can buy better quality food and better quality supplements. All supplements are not created equal. You can also talk to your medical professional who will give you an idea of what should be in your supplements. They may even refer a brand to you. They don't really do that a lot, but it's possible. My 9th tip is to make sure that you're eating a variety of foods. Like, for example, on this plate you see 3 types, technically 4, but I'm going to say 3 types of vegetable, which there's a yellow bell pepper, the orange bell pepper. Yes, I'm considering those to be 2 different types. There's celery, and of course I have a jalapeno pepper. And also in my cobbler, a ridiculously awesome amount of peaches. So, and then to make the crust, I actually used a unrefined flour. It's a whole wheat flour where you can still see a bit of the grain in there. So it's refined, but it's not, so I said unrefined. It's refined, but it's very minimally processed. So, that's a way to get a complex carbohydrate in there. And then, of course, protein. I have this haddock, which is a fish that I fried for today. And I crusted that with just a little bit of cornmeal, whole grain, almost a whole grain type. Not whole grain, it's like a rougher grain is what I should say. It's not refined down to a powder. You can actually see it, on there. So you want to just make sure that you have that variety. So someone who always eats